Hey guys, my name is Leia and welcome back to Anime Recap Pro. In today's video, we will be going over a dark action fantasy anime titled Hellsing Ultimate 2006. So if you love vampires, you will enjoy this. But before we get started, please remember to like, share, and subscribe. And without any other further delays, let's get into it. There are evil and dark creatures who stalk the night and eat any unfortunate people who fall into their clutches. Hellsing, a group committed to eradicating these supernatural powers that imperil humanity's existence, is on the opposing side. The series starts as we discover that after passing of her father, Arthur, 10 years ago, young Integra Hellsing becomes the leader of the Hellsing organization. Richard Hellsing, her envious uncle, tries to kill her, but in doing so he awakens a sleeping Alucard, who then goes on to slaughter Richard's soldiers. Integra kills her uncle with a gun, making her the last member of the Hellsing bloodline. Alucard pledges his loyalty to Integra and accepts the position of her devoted servant. He eliminates a vampire priest and his ghouls in modern-day England. Sarah's Victoria, a young and fascinating police officer, responding to the commotion, gets severely hurt. After Alucard gives her the option of choosing life or death, he transforms her into his vampire servant. Later, Alucard encounters Father Alexander Anderson while on a mission to find a vampire in the northern Irish town of Badrick. Alucard has a dream in which Abraham von Helsing defeats him. The vampire brothers Jan and Luke Valentine conduct a stealth attack on a Hellsing property with a ghoul army equipped with military equipment and a small weaponry, while Sir Integra hosts a roundtable session to discuss her findings regarding the recent wave of vampire attacks. Before Alucard, Saras, and Walter C., Dornes, who demonstrates why he was formerly regarded as the Angel of Death, is able to turn the tide. Nearly all Hellsing soldiers are killed in the process and converted into ghouls. Jan says that the attack was carried out by a group of Millennium. Integra suggests to Walter that the attack might have been carried out by surviving Nazi leaders. Walter enlists the Wild Geese mercenary gang and incorporates them into Hellsing's security forces to increase manpower in the wake of the devastating assault on Hellsing headquarters. Integra learns information from Iscariot's fanatical leader Enrico Maxwell that supports her beliefs about the beginnings of Millennium. She immediately sends Pip Bernadotte, the head of Wild Geese, Saras, and Alucard to Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, to locate Millennium. Followed by their public declaration of being international terrorists, Alucard and Saras are later attacked by BOPE troops of the Brazilian military police. This attack was a hoax carried out by Brazilian officials in exchange for immortality promised by Millennium. Alucard kills the BOPE officers under Sir Integra's orders before engaging Millennium officer Tubalcame Alhambra in combat. A message from the mayor, by live video broadcast carried in by the ubiquitous Screwdinger, interrupts Hellsing and Iscariot's meeting with the Queen of United Kingdom and announces his plan to declare war on England before Alucard shoots Schrödinger. First Lieutenant Rip von Winkle and a small squadron of SS troopers from Millennium take over a VTOL aircraft carrier named the Eagle. Integra sends Alucard aboard on SR-71 to deal with the perpetrators and Rip Van Winkle. He brutally kills them and turns Rip Van Winkle into one of his many familiars, while the significant moves to London to force England into another war. Alucard is still stranded on Eagle when Millennium launches its assault on London. While the other vampires attack London, Zorn Blitz is instructed to travel to Hellsing HQ with a small handful of warriors. They try to grab Integra while slaughtering thousands of civilians. Only after Walter gives his life to fend off the vampire SS troopers does she escape. Unfortunately, Walter is also taken prisoner by the captain. After the vampire troops manage to corner her, she is saved and taken prisoner by a massive group of Iscariot priests led by Alexander Anderson, Heinkel Wolf, and Yumi Takagi. Alucard uses his abilities to direct the Eagle toward London after the credits have rolled. Just before the fight begins, Enrico Maxwell, the head of Section 8 Iscariot, learns a substantial promotion and uses it to motivate the Vatican's men. The Hellsing mansion is besieged by Zoran Blitz and her men in the center of London as Integra tries to persuade the Iscariot members to accompany her home. Only Captain Bernadotte, his Wild Geese, and Sarah stand between us and his onslaught. As the conflict continues, they must contend with tenacious vampire Nazi soldiers and Zoran's mysterious illusionary power, which threatens to annihilate the geese from within. They are released from Zoran's control thanks to Sarah's quick thinking, but the fight is far from done. After an unsuccessful attempt at a stolen kiss, the group disperses, with Sarah's going one way and the geese going the other, but not before making a promise to each other that they would survive this. Crossfire's drama CD is included in OVA 6. Saras defeats Zoran's army as Bernadotte and his forces are being wiped out. Saras comes to their aid and decimates the majority of Zoran's army. Saras is then made to relive her traumatic past as Zoran probes deeply into her memories, compelling her to see her parents parents' murders by gangsters, and the rape of her mother's corpse after she was shot by one of the thieves. Zoran slices Seres' arm, stabs her in the back, and removes her eyes while imprisoned in illusion. Seres is severely injured as Bernadotte tries to flee with him, but Zoran stabs him in the back. In his pain, he kisses Seres and orders her to bite him. She performs this with tears in her eyes, curing all but her left arm, which spews a shadow substance. All of Zoran's forces are wiped off by Seres, who then pursues and kills Zoran. The Vatican forces appear on the horizon as Seres exits the mansion and goes out to kill all of the vampires and ghouls that are left in the city. Before we tell you if Seres wins against the vampires, have you subscribed to the channel yet? Be sure to hit that like button, comment, share, and subscribe. Enrico Maxwell's Vatican forces start attacking the Millennium forces and the remaining Londoners. The Major teams up with Walter, who has turned into a vampire. Alexander Anderson is furious because he thinks Maxwell has gotten too powerful and is misusing God's authority. Integra is on the verge of being captured by the armed priests commanded by Heinkel Wolf and Yumi Takagi, but Seres saves her. Alucard, who was atop the Eagle as it floated down the Thames, is now back in London and joins in the fight, coming into contact with Anderson and the captain, the other two trump cards. Integra allows Alucard to call him many familiars by lowering his Control Act restriction to level 0. As Enrico, Maxwell, and Anderson understand, Alucard is Count Dracula / Vlad the Impaler, the original vampire. Alucard's men easily defeat all the Iscariot and Millennium troops, and Maxwell is killed shortly after. Seres and Integra are waiting for Alucard. The remaining priests join the fight between Anderson and Alucard, but Alucard wins, and they help Anderson. Anderson transforms into a monster and sets Alucard and his familiars on fire using Helena's nail. A dying Alucard thinks back to when he was Vlad the Impaler and how the Ottoman Sultan raped him when he was a child. He then sees himself fighting the Turks and telling his knights that praying to God is useless until you're willing to work for it. It is just begging if you are unwilling to work for your prayer. He is eventually taken to be killed, but before he's cut in half, he drinks the blood of the battlefield and turns into a vampire. Then Seres tries in vain to help him against Priest Anderson of the Vatican by begging him to wake up. Alucard pulls Anderson's heart out and crushes it, taking Helena's nail with him. The priest hears children laughing and says Amen one more time before he dies. Walter suddenly shows up and crushes what's left of Anderson. Integra and Seres are shocked that Walter has become a vampire. Walter kills Yumi and says that he is now the Angel of Death on his own. The captain shoots Heinkel, and even though he is badly hurt, he is not killed. Alucard and Walter are getting ready to fight, and Integra and Seres are asked to meet the Major on his Zeppelin. As the fight continues, Walter gets increasingly out of control because of the vampirism process. However, Walter pierces Alucard's heart with a pipe, but the body turns out to be a fake. Then Alucard comes up from behind and punches Walter. The damage caused by the punch makes Walter's body age back 60 years to when he was a young boy. Alucard ultimately shows himself as the girl he was during the war. He calls Walter a child who hasn't grown up in 60 years. Schrödinger welcomes Integra and Seres as they board the Zeppelin. The two ladies fight in the surviving members of the Millennium until the captain intercepts them. Seres stays behind to continue the struggle while Integra moves on. Despite the Major's plans to vanquish him at this time, Alucard outside starts to absorb the blood rivers from the dead. Seres battles the captain, who reveals to be a werewolf. Seres first feels outmatched by the captain, but she finally receives assistance from her friend, Bernadotte, who kills the werewolf with a silver tooth. When Integra approaches the Major, a shield prevents her from attacking, leaving them both to see Alucard's demise. The Major then explains the Major's power of omnipresence. Schrödinger is alive as long as he is self-aware, but the millions of lives in the rivers of blood flowing into Alucard negate his awareness/existence. Then, to be absorbed, Schrödinger decapitates himself on top of a big Alucard and begins to experience this negation, which makes him vanish. Outside, Walter is attacked by Heinkel, while Seres reunites with Integra. Nonetheless, the injured Walter is able to flee in the Zeppelin. Seres eventually manages to breach the protection inside and hurt the Major. He is revealed to be a cyborg, although he maintains his humanity while posing a threat to Integra. The Major is killed in the shootout, and Integra suffers left eye blindness. Meanwhile, Walter confronts the doctor, murders him, and then passes away. Integra commands Seres to bring them home after acknowledging his demise. 30 years later, Iscariot attempts to visit the new Hellsing headquarters but is refused, while Heinkel, who is now the upper hand, and the new chief, Makube, mull over the idea of launching another crusade. Alucard shows up at the older Integra's bedside again that night. He explains to Seres and her that the millions of lives inside him distort his awareness, which is why he has been gone for so long. He kills everyone and saves one, declaring declaring I am back here now. However, I am also never anywhere. In actuality, I am everywhere, implying that Schrodinger is the only soul that was spared. They all agree to the vampire's return when Integra offers him some of her blood. Well, that's it for today. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, comment, share, and subscribe.